We played in Texas one night with Pastor Key, and somebody comes up to me in the middle of the show and hands me this note, this little piece of paper. I'm like, what? I'm like, what? I'm in the middle of the show, right. And I open it up, and the paper's like, Kim Burrell, call me tonight when you're done. So I hit Kim, and she's like, hey, I'm getting ready to do a live recording. I gotta have you on drums. I'm like, cool. And she was like, Spud is playing too. I'm like, that's my brother. So really what happened was Chris Dave and Spud were supposed to play the album. These dates that I was doing with R. Kelly, we were in New York, and we were supposed to be there for like a week and a half. And I was there for like 4 days, and then they were like, hey, we're sending everybody home. We're not doing the rest of these shows. And so Spud called my phone and was like, well, you won't come out here? He's like well, fool, you won't come out here? You were supposed to do it anyway. So I'm like, man, y'all, the record is like 3 days away, bro. Y'all been there rehearsing. He's like, man, whatever, man. He's like, yo, I'm finna tell. So he literally went and told Kim Burrell, and she was like, tell him he'll have a plane ticket tomorrow.
Today, our guest on Meinl Radio is the one and only Calvin Rodgers. We've had Calvin on our podcast before, but that was a while back when he was still fairly new to our family. A lot has happened since then. Calvin has been back to Nashville to film with us a couple of times. One of those times being a dual drumming video shoot with Calvin's and Meinl's close friend, Robert Spud Seawright. Calvin also signed with Meinl Stick and Brush and helped design one of our best-selling models with his signature drumstick. And in the summer of 2023, Calvin brought down the house when he closed the show at the Meinl Drum Festival. I remember asking Calvin before his performance if he could go up there and just totally show no mercy when he went out to play. I wanted everyone to see just what an absolute stunning talent that he is, and he did not disappoint. He really delivered the goods. But that's no surprise, because he does that every day. It's why he's already a legend in the gospel drumming world, and he's still fairly young as far as legends are concerned. So that's where this podcast gets fun. We had back-to-back shoots lined up, one with Calvin and another with Meinl Cymbals artist Cedric Moore. Cedric has been a family member for a number of years now, and he just oozes with talent. He writes all of his own material that he plays to, and has written material for a number of other Meinl artists who've come to town to produce content with us. Cedric is one of those Texas drummers that seem to have come out of nowhere and blown everyone's minds in the last couple of decades. Among his many accolades, Ced plays with the Funky Knuckles, an incredible group of very good musicians. Ced is so kind and so quiet that I've had to remind myself a couple of times to call him and check in. He's one of those guys that keeps his head down, works hard, spends all of his time with his family, and is about as happy of a camper as you could hope to meet. So, knowing that Calvin was a big influence on Cedric, I asked the two of them if they would be cool with Cedric interviewing Calvin. Both of them were more than up for it, and this conversation is the result of having these two wonderful people and musicians in the same room together. Enjoy the podcast.
Okay, first of all, it is an absolute honor and privilege to be in the same room with you, sir.
My brother. Thank you, man.
So my first question for you, about what age did you start playing drums?
Man, I always tell people I seriously do not remember being here and not playing drums. Not like my mother talks about how I ruined her cookware, beating on the pots and the pans, and like having her pans having like dents in them. I was playing them with spoons and stuff like that, like how I ruined it, like my cookware. I just remember. I remember just like I remember my first toy drum set. It had to be like 3 or 4 years old. I remember that. So I think I've been obsessed with drums for a long time, as long as I can remember.
That's crazy because my mom had the exact same complaint.
See?
Like taking the little hangers and making drumsticks out of them.
The cotton hangers, just split them up or get 2 of them. Yeah.
Who did you grow up listening to?
I grew up listening to the drummers that played at my church originally. Like initially, those were my biggest influences, the people that I heard weekly.
Right.
And I grew up at a church in the city of Chicago in South Side. So there were my 2 cousins who I always talk about, Larry Roberts Jr. and Barris Bolton, they're a few years older than me. They were both drummers. They were multi-instrumentalists, actually. They played keys and drums. Those were my first influences on drums, and those were the guys that really would when I would go want to go learn something, or I want to learn something, those would be the guys I would go to initially. There were a couple of older guys, a guy named Arnold Bayman and a guy named Otha Seals, who played at my local church. And then there were the drummers that my dad used a lot, which were is a guy named Clyde Davis, not Clive Davis, but Clyde Davis, who was he hung around with Kevin Brunson a lot, and then there was Ray Beatty. Those were two guys my dad used a lot when I was younger. So those were the people I was listening to before I started listening to guys on records.
What did your dad play?
My dad played guitar and keyboards.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And he was a songwriter and producer and stuff. So
you had to play the drums, so you didn't have a choice.
Well, he wanted me to be a keyboard player.
Okay.
He wanted me to be a keyboard player. So he had me in lessons trying to trying to take piano lessons, learn to read and stuff like that. And I liked it. I was into it, but I was really into drums.
Man.
Yeah.
But you play a little bit? I imagine you do.
Yeah, I do. I mostly play. I mean, I have some theory because, I studied in school, and then I'm also a songwriter. So I play enough just for me to put down my ideas. Some of the stuff I played today here at the shoot, I actually put the demos down. I put the demos down and send them out to guys who make sense of them. While I'm saying that, shout out to my homeboy Danye Goodman.
Danye.
Yeah, Danye is, I call him Yeezy, which is one of the tracks that I did for my first shoot, Yeezy for President, was, it's a story behind that, but it was really a shout out to Danye. But
that's tight.
I send him ideas all the time. Hey man, I got this, and he turns it to magic. But yeah.
He's a great drummer.
He's a phenomenal musician, period.
Yeah, just period. Yeah.
But you play other instruments too. I know you play bass a little bit, or I don't want to say a little bit, but
you had it right. I'm more of a bass producer versus a bass player. So you had it right. Yeah. I have a funny story how I started playing bass. My good friend Cleon Edwards was
love Cleon.
We was playing video games at my house, and I just bought this bass. And he kind of paused the game and looked at the bass and just started laughing because he knew I realized that I just bought a left-handed bass on accident. And I'm right-handed. So he's just sitting there laughing like, yeah, you messed up when you did that, didn't you? So what I did, I flipped it upside down. Started playing it that way. I learned, to play that way. Mm-hmm. And my good friend Wes Stevenson, the bass player for the Funky Knuckles, my dog, he was like, man, have you ever considered just using the right-handed bass and getting it strung upside down? And I was like, no, So he's like, I got you. He just gave me one of his really, really nice, expensive basses. And he got it strung upside down, changed the nut for me and everything. And I've been playing that. It's probably the most.
Wait a minute. You play bass left-handed?
No, I play it right-handed.
You play right-handed.
Strung upside down.
Oh.
Yeah, because I accidentally bought the left-handed bass. So I had to play that upside down because I'm right-handed.
So you play right-handed, but your low E is on the bottom?
Yes, that's normal feeling.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know how that happened, but yeah, that happened. You're pretty much, you're gospel royalty, you're like the standard. And I remember when you were playing Sabian, what made you want to go to Meinl? What made you feel like, you know what, this is the symbol I think I'm going to, because you have a big responsibility, whether you want to, have that or not. Whatever you're playing, all the churches are going to start playing, you know what I'm saying? And I most definitely followed you as a kid as well and did the same thing. I was playing Sabian because you were playing Sabian. That was on all the records. So, you know.
I when the announcement came that I had joined the Meinl family, I truly was like, I understand that I have a level of influence. I did not expect it to be like that. Like it was, man. I told Chris Brewer this story about how year for years, my best friend and my brother Sput was just telling me, hey man, like you should really come check out some of this stuff. You check out some of this stuff. And I was like, okay. And I was just like, I'm gonna stay put. But one day I was playing this gig and I didn't have any backline and the guy had on Sabian stuff, but he just had one Meinl crash, and it was the 18-inch sand thin crash. And I could not stop hitting that cymbal all night, all night. And so I remember, I called Sput, and I actually called Sput and was like, "Hey, can you give me one of these cymbals?" And he was like, "I mean, yeah, I give you one, but
Of course.
you know how Sput is. I mean, yeah, I give you one, but bruh, they got way more stuff. Like they got way more stuff. You need to hear all of it. You need to go to Nashville. What you need to do is you need to go to Nashville. Just go there and listen to all the stuff." So fast forward, and I hope that I hope I'm not telling too much of the story, but listen, me and Chris almost hated me. But so I was in New Orleans when Sput was recording the family, I think it's the Family Dinner album with Snarky Puppy. I was there playing with the Isleys. I got to town the night before. Sput told me he was gonna be there, and he was recording. I'm like, yo, I'm coming to the session. So I got there to the session, and Sput introduces me to Chris, and me and Chris exchange numbers, start sending emails, and I'm like, and Chris is like, "Man, I would love to talk to you. Let's make something happen. Maybe, get to Nashville. Let's talk." And I was just like, "Okay, cool, man." And then he was hitting me up, and I wasn't responding. And so finally, I responded because I was thinking things over. I was just trying to mull it over, whatever. And finally, I responded. And I just said, "Hey, man, timing's just wrong. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna try to make things work." And then, man, Chris was like, "Oh man, dang, wow! I thought we were like getting somewhere with this thing, man. Like, okay, cool." And I'm like, "Man, this dude hates me." So I ran into him literally. That was like 2015. I ran into him 2 years later, and now, and I remember telling Spud, like, "Man, this dude hate me. He ain't gonna want to talk to me." He was like, "Man, please, come on." Anyway, I got there, man. I went upstairs to the Meinl booth that year, 2017 at NAMM, and Chris, as he always is, man, very cool, And I was just like, "Man, I just want to look around." And he was like, "Man, look at anything you want. Asking me anything you want." And I was just listening at the cymbals, and I'm like, at the same time, I was wanting to diversify, like the sound of. I was recording a lot more, so I had just built a home studio, and I was recording like right in my house because I had been renting the space at first to record, but I had the studio in my place then, so I was getting way more into like my tones and everything. And even though I had really been on that for a while, but like I took a deep dive into it.
Yeah.
When I started recording from my house,
Right.
and I just started wanting to hear other things, and I was attracted to what they were doing. So I went to the booth, and me and Chris talked, and I was just like, "Hey man, you think we could give this another shot?" And he was like, "Yeah, man, if you're serious, absolutely." And really the rest is history, right? And one thing about Chris Brewer, and I know we're supposed to be talking a lot about stuff, one thing I appreciate about Chris Brewer is that he's just a straight shooter. Like you never have to guess how you never have to guess how he feels about anything, what he's thinking.
Yes.
He'll tell you. So, we kind of found our ebb and flow real quick. And it made it really easy for me to develop a relationship with him. And I knew then, I was like, man, I want to do as much business with this company as I can. Right. After I met the guys, after I met Udo and Alex, and after I met Norbert, after I met those guys, man, I was just like, man, this is where I'm going to be at. And so, the cymbal thing was like, yeah, and man, and Chris was way helpful in just making me like, because I would be like, "Man, I want to check this out. I think this is it." It's not what I thought. And he wasn't impatient with me at all, man. He was completely patient with me, but he walked me through the whole process when I made the switch over. And so, like I said, I knew, I was like, man, I just want to do as much business with these kind of people as I could. So when the stick thing came about, I was just like, yo, man, like the very next year I went to NAMM and they had the sticks, and I took like a few pair. I have tried sticks from every other company almost. Real talk. I've tried drumsticks from every other company, And I may like play with them at the house, or I may like get behind a kit and check them out. I have never taken a pair of sticks from another company and been able to play a gig with them. I was on my way to, I think, Vegas in 2018 after NAMM. I left NAMM and went to, I believe I went to Vegas to play a show. And I took those sticks and played the entire night with those drumsticks. And I was just like, whoa. And so, man, it was just, I was like, man, this is.
They the one.
Yeah.
That's confirmation.
Yeah. Yep.
Let's talk about some bass players. I know you've played with 8 jillion bass players. What's probably your favorite bass player?
Oh man, I get to see. It's hard because I have certain. I got history with a lot of Chicago bass players. Of course, Maurice Fitzgerald goes without saying.
Yes, sir.
That goes without saying. But also, Tony Russell.
Oh yeah.
I mean, me and Tony did R. Kelly together. We did Pastor John P. Key together. We played in church together in Chicago. We worked at a few different churches in Chicago together. And we kind of Tony was ahead of the game when he was like 14. Really, Tony was almost better than everybody in Chicago by the time he was 16. He just was young. You know what I'm saying? Like, real talk. Like, he really was that good when he was a kid. When he was 16 years old, he just was a kid.
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? But Tony, and then Swole, Derek Ray, who is out now with Timberlake, and did Rihanna, and he's done Michael Bolton, and like these are my guys. We did a bunch of the Marvin Sapp records together. He's played on some church albums. He played on some stuff that I produced. Those 3 guys are like the first 3 people I'm gonna call. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And as much as I love Maurice, sometimes like I'll be like, nah, this one I want Lil Tony, or this one I want Swole. There are a couple of other bass players in Chicago, Jonathan Sherrill, who's really, really good, a guy named Arthur Sutton Jr. These are young guys in Chicago who who really, they super solid, great players. I also have to talk about Alan Evans, Snoop, who
love Snoop.
me and Snoop toured together for 10 plus years with Fred Hammond.
Y'all came to my church one time.
Man, Snoop, I mean,
phenomenal.
Like anything you could think of that you'd be like, man, can you play this on bass? No problem. Sure.
Yeah, Snoop is awesome.
He's so, what I love about Snoop is he's so intentional. You know what I'm saying? So he doesn't just he doesn't just play a feel. When he plays a feel, he like, oh no, I'm playing this so I can lock up with the kick. Like, I want to play this feel to be dead on with what you're playing on drums. So, and he'll be doing that. He'll do that with the drums, and then the next 8 bars by, him and Lawrence will have something happening. Then 8 bars later, he's catching something with Philip. And 4 bars later, he's catching something with Fred. He was a joy, and never, but he did not play bass like he was a solo bass player. He played bass.
Played bass, yeah.
Sheree Reed, another bass player. Another bass player I got to talk about. Sheree Reed. Daryl Freeman too, man.
Yes, sir.
Like, those are some bass players, like, they all got their own thing. But those are guys that, it's nothing you can't get done between those. I recently did a jazz gig. I put a jazz quintet together just because I was chilling from the road for a little while, and I'm like, man, I want to play some straight ahead. And Sheree came and played upright. Ooh, man.
What?
We had a blast. I played, man, till I was like just falling over. We had so much fun. We had so much fun. I had a great band too.
You should have posted that.
Yeah, I think I put up like 1 clip or something, but I'm gonna post up some more. We had this very cool arrangement of that I did a Take 5. That was really cool. And Sheree's on upright, and we played like some stuff like Manteca. We played 7 Steps to Heaven. It's cool, some cool stuff, man. Yeah. So.
Speaking, you said something about Fred Hammond earlier. Me and Spud was talking about this actually yesterday. That groove, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Boom. What do you call that? Is that like a 6/8 groove?
It's a 12/8 or like a shuffle.
shuffle.
Yeah.
But what I really, really want to talk about is that Bishop Larry
Yeah,
Trotter.
my pastor.
Tell the devil I'm back.
Yeah.
That track, oh my God. You played that groove on there. That was epic. I can listen to that now and get hyped now. Like right
Man,
now.
you know, what was crazy was at the time when I was recording that album, I was touring with Pastor Key, and Pastor Key had this song that we were playing that he hadn't even finished writing called "You Bless Me." It's on the Not Guilty record, but Pastor Key hadn't finished. All he had was the line from the Vamp. That's Tony. That's a Tony line all day. And Pastor Key wrote a vamp over this song. He wrote a vamp over this line, and we just started playing. This is John P. Key all day. This is how dope John was.
Man.
Pastor Key would have you singing a song that literally did not exist at a concert. Can you imagine going to a concert and somebody singing a song for 25 minutes that you've never heard in your life? Like, man, that's what he would do. And so he started singing that song. He starts just playing the vamp, and we just looping the vamp. And so it was nothing to the song except the line. So I was just playing everything I could think of over it. So then we go and cut this. Literally, this is at the same time I'm playing with Pastor Key on the weekends, Fridays, Saturdays, coming home on Sundays, playing in church at Bishop Trotter's church. And so literally I was coming in there, and my bro Rick Robinson, Vashawn wrote Tell the Devil I'm Back, but Rick had the arrangement happening, and he was like, man, this vamp is going to be all you.
That vamp?
You know.
Man.
And so I'm like,
Epic.
oh man, this is the stuff that the next time Spud is here, I'll let him tell the story about how that groove got him out of out of a very tight situation one day. He's got an epic story. He said he told you that story?
No,
It's not my story to tell, so I won't tell it. But he has got a very amazing story about how that groove like almost saved his life one night.
Oh my Lord. Because out of him and Cleon, they played in and out of that so effortlessly. Yeah. We used to always shed that all the time, you know.
That's when I was hanging. That's when me and Spud was getting close. Like, because when I was playing with Pastor Key, Spud was touring with God's Property, and so we were always lined up. Man. You know, for like 2 summers, we saw each other every single weekend, and it was probably half of a summer or maybe a full one before I realized Spud played keys as well.
Oh my God!
Because he was playing drums on all of those on all of those gigs, and then one day I came in there, and so I think me and Spud used to share kits. When we used to share kits, so when God's Property would close, they would close when Kirk was there. So when God's Property would close, the drums would be set up with the ride on the left-hand side. And so and when Pastor Key would close, they would set up the way I would. Right. And because Spud could play both ways, but you know, sometimes I would play like that because also I'm a huge fan of Joel Smith, rest in peace. Oh, Joel Smith, the greatest of all time. He would play left-handed. He would play left-hand ride sometime, you know. So I wasn't like foreign to it because I did everything I saw Joel do. Man. So, but one weekend I got there and I knew Spud was there, and I knew that God's Property was closing, but the ride was on the right hand. So I'm like, why does Spud have the ride set up this way? And what's my boy name? Peabody was there.
Shout out to Peabody.
Peabody was Derek. I can't remember Peabody's real name. But anyway, Peabody, we love you. We don't know your name, but Peabody.
we only call him Peabody.
Peabody. Anyway, Peabody was there playing drums, and I was like, well, what's Spud doing? Spud was playing keys this night. And that's how I found out he was a keyboard player.
Oh my goodness!
But so yeah, that's when. But we were together when I would be playing that groove, and Spud was one weekend at Gospel Music Workshop of America. Spud's like, show me what you're playing on, like when you play that song with Pastor Key. And I'm like, what song? He's like
yeah, I promise you, he told me. He's like, no, I'm telling you, I got that from Calvin, bro.
Yeah, so
that's crazy. That's crazy. Another epic moment, the live recording, Kim Burrell's live recording.
Yeah, another Spud thing. So I was touring with R. Kelly. I was supposed to be in New York doing TV shows. We did like 2 shows, and then the rest of the shows got canceled. And so I was on my way home. I played in Houston. We played in Texas one night with Pastor Key, and I'm playing. We were in Houston, and I'm playing the show, and somebody comes up to me in the middle of the show and hands me this note, this little piece of paper, and I'm like, what? I'm like, what? I'm in the middle of the show, right. And I open it up, and the paper's like, Kim Burrell, call me tonight when you're done. So I hit Kim, and she's like, hey, I'm getting ready to do a live recording. I gotta have you on drums. So I'm like, cool. And she was like, Spud is playing too. I'm like, that's my brother. So really what happened was Chris Dave and Spud were supposed to play the album. Yeah. And then Chris Dave got the Mint Condition gig and went on tour. I think that's when they were on tour. Maybe were they on tour with Tony Braxton, maybe? Opening for Tony. But anyway, Chris was supposed to play that record, and then it changed at the last minute, and then Kim invited me to play. Well, then I had to turn it down. I had to back out of it because I got the R. Kelly gig, and then I was supposed to be on the road. And so these dates that I was doing with R. Kelly, we were in New York, and we were supposed to be there for like a week and a half. And I was there for like 4 days, and then they were like, hey, we're sending everybody home. We're not doing the rest of these shows.
Oh, man.
Cool. I just happened to call Maurice Fitzgerald, and I'm like, man, how are those rehearsals going? How's the session going? He like, cool, man, what you doing? I'm like, I ain't doing nothing. I'm like, man, I'm supposed to be in New York. I'm getting ready to fly home. He was like, word? He was like, what happened? I'm like, they canceled the show. So he told Spud, it's like, man, and so Spud called my phone and was like, well, you won't come out here?
He said,
he's
just
like
well,
fool, you won't come out here? You were supposed to do it anyway. So I'm like, man, y'all, the record is like 3 days away, bro. Y'all been there rehearsing. He's like, man, whatever, man. He's like, yo, I'm finna tell. So he literally went and told Kim Burrell, and she was like, tell him he'll have a plane ticket tomorrow.
That's crazy.
And literally, so I went home to New York. I went home from New York, went to Chicago, and the next day I flew out, and I got there, like the recording was on the Sunday. I got there on like Thursday morning, and I did like 2 rehearsals. And then we loaded into the church on like, well, we were supposed to load into the church. We loaded into the church. So we did 2 rehearsals, and then we had to load out. And I think, so we're at what used to be House of Blues Studios. Mm-hmm. They moved a building from Memphis. I believe the building they moved from Memphis is the building we rehearsed in Memphis for Kim's recording, because we were rehearsed at House of Blues Studios.
Nice.
So, but
speaking of the rehearsals, the late great Sean Martin.
Man, Maurice. I think Maurice has got the mini disc recordings.
I heard it was some epic sheds with you and Sean Martin.
Bro.
Unassuming people don't know that Sean was also, can play drums too. Yeah. A lot of people didn't know that. But
no, it's not Sean can play drums. Sean was a drummer, bro, who played keyboard as well.
Yeah.
And nobody told me.
That's what's like.
Nobody said anything, bro. So Sean, like, it's 2 drum sets set up. Yeah, sit down, fool. Let's play some drums. Come on, fool. You know. And I'm like, whatever. So I'm playing, you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever. So I'm like, oh, he sit down, he plays some pocket. I'm like, oh, he can play some bass. Okay, so he must be one of them keyboard players that started playing drums and then went to playing keyboard. And so I played one lick, and Sean played it back. I was like, wait a minute. It's like when you playing Madden with your girl. You're like, you know what I'm saying? You chilling, you like, and then all of a sudden, she throw a 99-yard touchdown. You like, wait a minute.
Oh no.
What? Hold on.
That was let me look. You know.
No, wait. I didn't know we were serious. Like,
right.
So, yeah, bro. That's what happened. And I'm like, man. So I'm like, why? And Spud is over in the corner laughing.
I'm sure.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm sure.
So yeah, Sean, man. That rest in peace, Sean Martin.
Yes.
Man, he left the stratosphere. The very last rehearsal we had before that session, he left the stratosphere, man. Him and Kim had this moment, and he was just playing these strings on Holy Ghost, this Vamp Holy Ghost that we do with the key changes in there, and it was just him and Kim. Every time I talk about it, bro, like I still get like that feeling. It was almost like a lump in your throat and
Yeah,
chills.
yeah.
You know that you're experiencing something that's like, oh man, this person has such an incredible gift, and like he was just playing, and it was unbelievable. I mean, I'm a Christian, so I believe in musicians being anointed, and Sean was definitely anointed, man. He was absolutely anointed, and the anointing fell heavy on him that day, and we was like, oh my God. Yeah, man. But yeah, Sean got me. Sput and Sean got me, because I'm sitting there like, oh, it's cool. Wait a minute. Like, no, we for real. Let me sit up. So, yeah.
I've heard you tell this story, but I would love to hear you tell it again about Maurice. Because y'all both had the same sweater.
The same sweater. Man, I can tell you 20 stories. I got a brand. I'm not gonna do Maurice like that right now, but I got a brand new story about him. I ain't gonna put him on blast.
Okay.
I'm not gonna put him on blast. I'm gonna tell you about it off camera. But I got a brand spanking new one. You know what I'm saying? It's like, this dude, man. Man, I'm telling you though, like, if Maurice come up to you and like, yo man, them kicks dope. Where you find them, man? Man, one weekend with the Isleys, I had on some McQueen sneakers, and this girl was in the airport. It was like, this girl in the airport was like, oh my God, your sneakers are so dope. She was really pretty. And then one of the dancers on the gig was like, Calvin, I love your sneakers. Okay, Calvin. And so Maurice looked back there and was like, what you got on, boy? He looked back there and was like, oh, and I was like,
got him.
I said, it ain't. I said, it's not gonna be a week. I know he's gonna have these sneakers, bro. Very next. It's just like, I'm the little brother. I can't be getting more play than him. It's like, that's what, for real. Reese is like, you the little brother. You get the play I leave on the table. You get that.
Man.
You don't get more play than me, bro.
Oh man, that is hilarious. I've heard you say it on the interview. I just bust out laughing so hard. I was like, man, that is hilarious,
bro. Like one night, man, with like the time we were playing with Fred, we were playing at Knott's Berry Farm in L.A. and Maurice came down with he had on like a button-up shirt and like some jeans and some sneakers. I was like, I had on a Jordan jersey. I had on a black and red Jordan jersey. I had on some Huaraches, a white t-shirt, and some black jeans under it. I'm like, we playing outside, man. I'm the youngest one in the band, 24, 25. I'm like, man, y'all go ahead and wear the button-up collars and the polos, and I'm about to rock a jersey. And man, I came downstairs, and Maurice was like, that's what you wear? I was like, yeah, we playing outside. He was like, man, I'll be back.
Oh Lord,
bro, he came downstairs with some black and red Jordans on, red and white Jordans, black jeans, white t-shirt, and a black and red Miami Heat Dwayne Wade jersey.
Oh Lord,
they basically had the same exact outfit on. I'm like, why would you do that? Why would you? The Kim Burrell record. I'm like, we come downstairs. I got on this turtle. First time, I never thought. I said, man, I think I'm gonna rock a turtleneck. Like, and I don't know why I was thinking to wear a turtleneck, but I just decided I was gonna wear a turtleneck. And Maurice was like, oh man, them dope. And they had a bunch of colors. I never bothered to think he was gonna put on that, but he put it on. Man. He put the sweater on, man.
Oh man,
that boy. That's my brother though.
Right. That is hilarious though. That is so funny to do. Why do you and Spud hate on LeBron James so much? I've been waiting to ask this question.
Man, so when Chris told me, he's like, yeah, man. He's like, shit, it's gonna come. He gonna come interview. I was like, uh-oh.
I already knew what he wanted to ask.
We gonna do the podcast. I was like, uh-oh. Man, listen. LeBron is man, he's great. He's great, bro. But come on, seriously.
I mean, I get it. You're a Chicago guy. So
and I'm a Chicago guy.
And I get that.
Y'all make a bunch of excuses, man. Y'all make a bunch of excuses.
I'm not the typical LeBron fan. I'm more of a basketball fan first.
I'm gonna tell you. Well, I mean, first of all, I'm a diehard Laker fan. I've been a Laker fan since Michael retired from the Bulls.
Okay.
Because when MJ retired from Bulls, Kobe was coming in the league. He was kind of like taking over or whatever. And we were like the same age. And I remember seeing Kobe Bryant in Jet magazine going on prom with Brandy, and I'm like, why is this high school? Who is he that he gets to take Brandy on prom?
Right.
Like, what? Anyway, but then I found out it was like he went to the Lakers, and I started watching him go to the Lakers. I liked him.
Yeah.
I was like, man, that's my dude. So I became a Laker fan. I became a Kobe Bryant fan, and then a Laker fan. So to say this, I wasn't necessarily a LeBron fan. His last year in Cleveland changed all of that. I became a LeBron fan then.
Okay.
Like, so, and I got tall. I mean, you can't deny what he's done.
Yeah.
And you can't act like everybody. You can't act like, oh, it's nobody just did it. You know what I'm saying? But we got two sides. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
we got
people are something unrealistic too, though.
You went and Wendell.
Yeah, Wendell. Yeah.
Who else
Shout
is in
out to
that chat? Wendell Holmes.
Yeah.
Who else is in that chat?
It's Quentin Moore.
Quentin Moore, Cledell. Cledell's on my side.
Cledell, yeah, he be negative a lot. He been negative a lot lately.
Yeah.
He be playing, you know.
But
Joe Cleveland is in that.
Joe Cleveland in there, yeah. That chat is
it's
chat
childish.
Is, it's so petty.
It really is.
It's so petty. It's like every and
I've been doing
because because of AI,
Yeah.
you know, they looking at our conversation, so all of this stuff pops up in our feed. So
All
and we
day.
just let me send this to the chat. And
Yeah.
it's a 1 minute you look up, here is why LeBron James will forever be the GOAT above him. And then you scroll through your feed, here's why Michael Jordan will never be compared to LeBron James. Here's why LeBron, and I'm like, and it all comes in feed. We just send it. It's like, and we get to talk. And we've had so many of these conversations about, man, we got Pippen saved MJ career. You know what I'm saying, man?
Well,
and then y'all did now the last thing I looked at, somebody's talking about how y'all even calling MJ the GOAT? He couldn't even go left. I'm like, now y'all
ridiculous.
Now y'all being ridiculous.
I don't agree with all of that. That's ridiculous. Because if that's the case,
Antoine what's Antoine name from Antoine Walker?
Walker, yeah.
Yeah, he's the biggest.
Only reason I wouldn't agree with that because if it was that simple, he just can't go left, he would be easier to guard. But obviously that didn't work out for everybody else, you know, that guard him. So that can't be the truth, you know.
It's not.
Right. I would say this. I think Michael Jordan is the GOAT for so many different reasons. But I still think if I'm looking at basketball as a whole, I think LeBron James is an overall better player than Michael Jordan.
Since we having this conversation, when you talk about GOATs, I just personally believe that it's all relegated to the era.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna be honest, first of all, I have people, Calvin, you the GOAT, you know, gospel. There's no way.
No, I agree.
Okay, so here's my thing. There's no way you could talk about me without having to first acknowledge Terry Baker and Joel Smith.
Oh, I
Those
agree.
two guys right there.
I agree.
Like, you can't crown anybody if they ain't like, to me, that's to me. So I think it's relegated to eras.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And because we can't go back in time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We can't go back and say, you know, you put LeBron against MJ in his prime. Because if MJ plays LeBron right now, he get his tail tapped. It's over with for him. You know.
With him being older.
Yeah.
But
he
they
been
both
on it.
old now.
Yeah.
But
But LeBron is still playing.
right.
MJ ain't played in 20 years.
Right.
So, you know, man.
I think like in different. I think what Jordan did for basketball as a whole, though.
Yes.
That sometimes, to me, that plays in him being the GOAT as well.
Yeah,
Not just his
absolutely
basketball
does.
playing, like even the shoe
brand.
deals.
He changed
The way
a lot, yeah.
the players get shoe deals and stuff. So it's just like without Jordan, you don't have the crazy tennis shoes. You don't have LeBron and his crazy.
Okay, but check this, right? This is why I say relegated to eras, because LeBron changed the game, not from that perspective, but he changed the game based on regarding how players handle business.
That's true.
Nobody, look, I mean, everybody was talking about how Jordan didn't do one and done. I think he did two and done. But LeBron really kind of took the power away from the owners and said, no, I'm going to do it how I want to do it.
It kind of transcended sports in general, though, not just basketball, because you see it trickling over in football, too.
Yes,
you know,
absolutely.
Even though the Cowboys didn't,
I don't know.
they didn't get the memo.
Man, I can't even laugh, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
right.
I can't even laugh. I don't talk about Bears, but I mean, man, we just got to keep praying for both of them. We got to pray for Dak and we got to pray for Caleb.
Oh Lord. Chicago has a huge drum scene.
Yes.
When I think of drum cities, I think of Chicago, I think of Dallas, I think of Philadelphia.
Yes.
You know, I think of these places, and I'm pretty sure some other places as well, sure. You know, but I think of these places of all of these different drummers that's out doing their thing right now.
Yep.
You know, they're like the standard, you know, and you see where they're from, you know, so.
Chicago's got is a strong music community, period.
Yeah.
But definitely the drummers, you know, that Midwest thing is serious.
Yes.
Man, the Dallas drummers, those guys are different, man. Like Cleon and Tayron, Mike Mitchell.
Yeah.
Those guys, man. I mean, those guys are bad, man. And there's plenty more, you know what I'm saying? Of course, yourself,
Cleon,
you got Spud,
Marcus,
JT.
Oh, yeah, JT. Shout out to JT.
Yeah,
He's
man.
my homie. I love JT.
And what I like about those guys is, man, you know, Chicago's got a lot of natural talented musicians, you know what I'm saying? And Dallas does too, but those guys, they're studied too, you know what I'm saying? Like the thumbprint for those guys was like, man, find out, you know, get some knowledge about what you're playing.
Yes,
so you talk to Spud, you talk to JT, Bobby Sparks, you know, those guys, they get deep into it, you know.
Yeah.
They get deep into it, and I appreciate that about those guys.
And shout out to Jackie Whitman, too. He's in Dallas. He's a young, phenomenal drummer. He's out with Mono Neon.
Oh, yeah.
And he's been doing his thing. I've been knowing him since he was a little boy, you know, like a sophomore in school, and I heard him swinging, and it amazed me that he was that mature on the drums. It was scary. He went to the same school with Mike Mitchell. They went to high school together. So shout out to Jackie as well.
Yeah. Man, shout out to all of the young drummers, man, who are, you know, taking the torches and continuing to carry them, you know what I'm saying? And you know, they taking drumming to the next level, man. There's some serious players out there, man. You know, guys are, they all over, man. And shout out to the OGs, you know.
Thank God for y'all.
who, you know what I'm saying, who paved the way for some of those guys,
Yes.
you know, man, it's still very relevant, you know what I'm saying? They still hold it down. Gerald Hayward.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? Lil John Roberts.
Yes.
You know, Spud, you know, Nissan, who still get behind the drums. And where y'all, you know, he get on TV shows, man. He
strong.
Yeah. Of course, Teddy Campbell.
Yes.
My brother Rex.
Oh my
You know what I'm saying?
Lord,
We grew up together, man. And so, you know, and it's a lot more of these guys, man. I'm looking forward to hearing these guys that are growing. Jamison Ross.
Oh.
David Shiverton.
Yes.
You know, Isaac Jamba. Xavier Ware.
Oh my God,
He's
phenomenal.
Oh my God, it's not even
nuts.
fair.
He's like crazy. He's so crazy.
Mason Guidry.
That's my dude.
Man,
Mason
you know,
is crazy.
And then, you know, you got, you know, Marcus Gilmore.
Marcus,
man, you know.
massive.
And I be talking to a lot of these guys. I was talking to Greg Hutchinson the other day, man. And, you know, I think he's back in the States, man. And I'm listening to him play. I'm like, man, you know, of course you got Thomas Pridgens, who still, you know what I'm saying, bro?
Still.
Smack you upside your
Oh, my
face on them
Lord.
drums, you know. Tony Royster,
Tony,
too,
I'm about to
man.
say Tony Royster too.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
in Dallas a lot.
Yeah.
You know, lately. So yeah, I've been seeing Tony
Yeah,
around.
man. Yeah. So,
Man, this was awesome, man. Calvin,
Nah,
I appreciate your time,
dude,
man.
this has been a pleasure, man. This whole day has been a blast, and shout out to everybody at Meinl, man. It's, you know, they do it the way no one else can, bro.
Yes.
And we're super fortunate, right?
Yes, I'm just blessed to be a part of the family.
Yeah, to work with such great people, man.
Yes,
Every
yes.
time I come here and do it, you know, I'm like, man, nobody does it better than Meinl, bro. You know?
I'm telling you.
Yeah, and great product, you know, and constantly pushing, you know.
Right.
Every time you come here, they got something else. Check this out. You know, we got this happening. So,
Yes.
man, shout out to the team at Meinl, you know, their development team, the people that make everything happen, the guys that are behind the cameras, the lights, Brandon, Chris, Udo, Norbert, you know, Alex, Mr. Meinl, all the guys in Germany, man. I had a chance to go to Meinl Fest. Was it last year? I think I was in Meinl Fest last year. Last year, man. And man, it was absolutely amazing. I couldn't believe I was on that drum festival. Freaking drum festival with Brody Simpson and Dan Mayo and freaking Benny Greb.
And Grab's so good.
Zach Grooves was on,
Grooves
man.
killing.
It's man, you know, and it's great, man. They do it like nobody else can do it like Meinl, bro. So shout out to all those guys, man. Thank you guys for having us, man. Thank you for making this happen. This was a pleasure, man.
Yes, sir.
It was a blast, man.